Good morning. Happy Friday, everyone. Sarah here, CEO of Biz Credit Builds. I am here today. We're going to be talking about your business bank rating and your business bank score. Most people don't think you have one, but don't forget to join me every Friday on the She Is Still Dope Network. Stop what you're doing and share. As I always tell everybody, every Friday when you log in, get a pen and pencil, take some notes. Today I'm going to be dropping jewels on your business bank rating because you have one and it drives so many things when it comes to lending and approvals, okay? So if you haven't already done so please stop what you're doing and join the She Is Still Dope Network. We accept all women, all denominations. We're a network of beautiful women, professionals, stay-at-home moms, Christian, everybody. We accept everybody, but please join. We have some great shows that happen and occur during the week, conferences, but they also have a network that is so dope. And if you haven't already joined, please head over to their page and join. So again, today we're going to be talking about your business bank score. And when I say most people don't understand and know that you even have a business scores, what a business bank score is, and what it drives when it comes to business and lending approvals. So again, if you haven't already done so, get a pen and paper. I'm going to be dropping some jewels in concerns to everything related to your business bank credit score, because you have one and most people don't even know that you do have one. All right, so let's jump right on in. So most people know that when they start their business, they get incorporated, they get an EIN, they get a DUNS number, but it's essential to know that you really haven't officially, or you're not looked at as an official business until you open up a business bank account. So it is essential that as a business owner, that once you finish all of those things, you set up a business bank account. And I mean, there are a lot of people always ask me, what are the best business banks to bank with? I mean, there are plenty of banking institutions that do or have business accounts, but it's important that whoever that you're with, that you have a personal relationship with that business banker, that you can go into the bank and have a conversation with them, that you can essentially have a relationship with them so that if you have a question, they'll be more than happy to help you with that question. If you are going to go apply for an account or a line of credit, that they can assist you in telling you what those requirements are and help you apply. There are several business banking institutions that I recommend, and I'm going to share those banking institutions at the end of our show today. So let's jump right in. So business bank accounts. It's essential that business owners separate personal and business banking. You cannot run a successful business with commingling your funds. And I say that because when it comes to taxes and when it comes to accounting, it's hard to account for what's business related and what's not business related. So down to your business expenses, you should have business credit cards or business retail cards, business gas cards. If you're doing anything related to business, you should be swiping that particular card, because when it's time at the end of the year to account for those expenses, I do it quarterly. Some people do it monthly. Some people use QuickBooks to bring in those transactions. Whatever you do to account for those transactions, it's important that you're not commingling both. You don't want to be thinking about, was this dinner business related or was it personal? Was this gas that I got, was it due to business? Was it not due to business? So it's just important that you do your due diligence to separate that ahead of time. This is needed to run a successful business. One of the main financial tools that is used to accomplish this is a business account. It does so many things that people aren't aware about. So a business bank account does many things, but the main things that stick out to me is, as I was mentioning earlier, that maintaining those accurate records, the preparing of reports. So lots of times when you go in to apply for a line of credit, or if you're applying for investment, or if you're applying for a loan, they're going to ask you for profit and loss statements. They want to know how much you're making versus how much you're spending on a monthly basis. And your business bank account statements are what's going to drive that, right? They show when you make deposits and withdrawals. So that cash flow that you bring in on a monthly basis is super, super important. So that's it's you cannot move without having cash flow. Nobody's going to lend to you if you're not making money. So we need to show that in these in this bank account. So making wire transfers. So if you pay a partner, or if you pay a 1099 employee or a contractor, or if you're paying for a service, all of that is shown there. So that can be listed as a cost. Issuing checks. Some people do payroll if you have employees. It's important that you are writing down the reason why you're writing that check, whether it's payroll, whether it's business expenses, whether it's monthly lease payments, whether it's monthly utilities. So that way, when that accounting goes in to pull those business bank statements or those transactions, he can tell you real time, listen, this is what you're spending this on, this is what you're spending this on, this is what you're spending this on. Next month, you need to be mindful of this. Next month, you need to be mindful of this. We need to watch how many hours people are having this month, because we have this amount as far as the budget. So it's important that you take care of all of those things. And one of the main financial tools used to, again, keep personal and business separate is by having a business bank account. So business bank accounts have many benefits. So they lessen the tax headache and liabilities by keeping your business revenue and expenses totally separate. And you don't understand, when I was doing my own taxes, and I actually, I do taxes for a living. So for me, when I used to do my own taxes, I used to definitely, at the end of the month, be like, oh my God, was this a personal expense or was this a business expense? And, it's funny because you don't feel that until it's time to sit down in one place and be like, oh my God, this is my personal account. I did a transfer. Why did I do this? So once I got a professional to start doing my taxes, they definitely were like, don't you ever put a business expense on your personal card. If you really need to, go to your personal account, take out money and deposit it into your business account, and then swipe that card. So, I learned that over time. This will also keep you from accidentally commingling funds. What do I mean by that? Oftentimes, we want to serve and we want our business, we want to put everything into our business, but you should be taking track of what you're spending personally, right? Because sometimes we look and your personal bill money and funds, and we've all done it, we use it unknowingly, right? Because we're like, we'll get it back, and we start commingling funds, and then we stop keeping track, and then we don't pay ourselves. So it's just important that you keep this accurate record so that you don't accidentally commingle funds, okay? Accept debit and credit cards. You should have a merchant account or a merchant processor in place. Even if you're a high-risk business, I know some people have Square, some people have, I've seen people use PayPal as a form of payment. I've seen people use ACH debit through their banking systems. Everyone has choices. Now, there are fees related to that. So know that in order to protect you, they are going to charge you anywhere from 1.2% to 2.9% on every transaction. So when you do that, keep in mind that the whole amount of money does not come into your account. There's going to be a fee related to them processing that transaction. But this makes it easy to accept more types of payments and get more sales. I am a big fan of Zelle. Like, I opened up a Zelle in my business account. I also, if I have a client who is paying me, I'll do an ACH transaction so that I can, with their permission, go into their account directly and just take my payment. But the more types of payment, the more you accept, the more types of payments, the more sales you get. So keep in mind that, hey, I mean, there are millions of merchant processors out here that deal with high-risk businesses, new businesses. You just got to choose one, but it's there to essentially protect you. So benefits to having a business bank account. Now, business bank accounts have more lenient fees, and it essentially, they don't charge as much as you would on a personal account for certain fees, and you earn more interest on saving accounts. So keep in mind that if you have a line of credit or you're running a business transaction, they are basically more lenient, even on the interest rate on like a line of credit. So if you're on your regular card, you have 30 days to pay something without interest. I know on my business bank account, I do with Navy Federal, they give me 40 days with no interest. So I have 40 days to pay off that entire balance without gaining interest. If I carry it over, they're going to give me interest. So I don't have that on my personal account. So those are all benefits to using my business bank card, swiping, or using that line of credit. For example, fees may be waived when you use online banking. So some banking institutions essentially don't charge you anything. It's free. So you may want to look into, hey, what are your rates before you choose a bank to do business with, okay? Now, your business banking relationships can also help you secure business bank loans. So it makes a difference when you're coming into a bank and saying hello. I can tell you that they know me at my bank. I'm saying hello to everyone. I am essentially asking them, what do they have new that pertains to business? They know that I have several business bank accounts there. They know I make regular deposits. So when I come into that bank, hey, Miss Sarah, how can I help you? Some of them fight over servicing me because when I come, I'm always with thank you cards. I essentially, it's a vibe that you are building with that business banker. And guess what? When they have anything related to a new product, I get an email and a personal phone call right away. Hey, I didn't see you. If I go out of town, I was out of town last weekend. I didn't see you in the bank this week. Is everything okay? Normally you make deposits during the week. So it's important that you build that relationship with that banker or that business banker, because they can be the determining factor behind getting you a business loan, behind getting you an approval, behind even getting your mortgage on the business side. So keep that in mind. How you handle your business bank account is information that is going to go to your lender. And I don't care what they say, that business banker is working with underwriting directly if they're not the underwriter. So it goes beyond your business and personal scores. Hey, I know Miss Sarah personally. She comes into this bank all the time. She deposits a lot of money. Listen, she's having a hard month and she needs a loan. I've seen her here for years. And guess what? That sometimes could be the determining factor to be like, okay, let's do what we have to do in underwriting to get her approved. So just keep that in mind. Now, things to remember when setting up a business bank account. So when setting up a business bank account, it's important that we are setting this account up with all your information matching, right? This is, I'm going to give you the actual order of setting up things. So when you set up your business entity, such as your LLC or your corporation, you get your free EIN from the IRS, then you use your corporation papers or EIN to set up that business bank account. They're going to look you up and do a business entity search, and that's free, to make sure that you're in good standing with that state. They may even ask for your DUNS number. So it's essential that when you're setting up that business bank account, that you are checking to make sure everything matches to the T, right? That means that you're not using a residential address unless you are running your business from your home. If you have a virtual address, everything should match. You should be using that business, that business brick and mortar or that virtual address, and that everything matches down to the way that you're spelling it, abbreviations, commas, everything. And then you go into the bank with that paperwork and they give you a business bank account. Now, your bank account start date. Your bank account start date is an important day because, as I mentioned earlier when we started, for lenders, it defines when you officially start your business. So you could have had your business for 10 years, but if you didn't have a business bank account, then guess what? That's the official start of your business. So keep that in mind. It's essential to set up your business bank account as soon as you get all of those things in order, so that literally your entity start date for lenders starts exactly when you open up that bank account. And this is because many lenders and credit issuers see bank account setup date as the date your company really opened. So just keep that in mind. Now, that date is the date that people or lenders use to look at the entity inception date, and they call it the company start date. And most people don't notice that in Dun & Bradstreet, sometimes people ask you, what's your business start date, right? And funny, most people put the entity date that they filed their incorporation papers on, right? But if you ever notice in your bank, they put it the day that you essentially got your bank account. So be mindful of that. Due to so many fake companies set up like shelf corporations, which I shy and ask people to stay away from, now bank accounts are used for business inception dates in a lot of cases. So banks use account start dates, as I mentioned earlier, because it helps to make it so that fraud doesn't pay. No one is just going to go into a bank and start a business bank account and not put anything in there. And if you aren't using your business bank account, many times you'll notice that within 2 or 3 months, if there's no activity, they'll shut it down and send you a letter saying you don't use it, so we're shutting it down. They definitely monitor all of your activity and what you're doing. So keep that in mind when you open up an account. You definitely should be having transactions in there, even if that means putting money in and taking it right back out because you need to use it for something. But whatever you put in shows as your deposit history. So you will need several things when you're getting a new business bank account. These are literally for any bank. These are requirements, so you cannot go around them. All right. So the first thing that you would need to provide is entity papers, such as your articles of incorporation. So in every state, in order to incorporate yourself, whether you're a limited liability company, whether you're a partnership, whether you are LLC, a limited liability corporation operating as a sole member, whether you're even literally a one-person entity, a sole proprietorship, you're going to need to provide that paperwork to your business banking institution. Those are things that are required. And on top of you taking that paperwork to them, they are going to go online and do a Maryland or whatever state that you're in business entity search. and verify that you are in good standing with that state. It's something that everyone does, okay? Now, they have an application, a physical application that they make you fill out. And their application is most times maybe 1 to 2 pages. Proof of your EIN number. So that IRS EIN number that you have should also match with your articles of organization paperwork and all of your paperwork, and what you put on that business banking application should all match. Your identification, so state ID, a license, a passport if you have one, but they need a form of legal identification. And then they're going to ask for an initial deposit of $25 to $200, depending on the business bank account type. Now, I am going to, when I'm going to literally give you some banking institutions, business banking institutions at the end of this video that have some offers going on. Like if you open up a bank account with Navy Federal right now, I think they give you $50. Chase is doing $300. If you have a certain amount of transactions monthly. So there are offers where sometimes they give you money instead of you having to put money in, but essentially you should be putting some initial form of deposit. All right, setting up a business bank account. So you want to set it up the right way because you want it to be easy to get credit and loans in the future. So as I mentioned before, your company name must perfectly match your entity paperwork. Whatever is on there is what you should be using. We like auto approvals. We don't want them to be like, hey, there's a company mismatch. Why on this paperwork she has her home address, but on this paperwork she has a brick and mortar. Your company address must be the same. Make sure that your EIN number is the same on the bank account paperwork. Keep that in mind. Most banks are going to require that you physically go into the bank to set up a new account. I know with COVID, some people are allowing you to do this virtually, but when you leave, they'll give you a folder with all of the information and documentation that outlines the terms on your bank account. Now, when we get into terms, I need you to ask, what is my monthly fee? Is there a penalty for not having a certain amount of transactions or not keeping a certain balance? Because I can't tell you how many of my clients get upset with some banking institutions. Wells Fargo is one of them. If you don't keep a certain amount of money in that bank, that business bank account, they essentially penalize you. So, or they charge you a fee. So keep in mind that you need to know your terms up front so that you know ahead of time, like, hey, by the end of this month, I need to have such and such transactions. I need to have this balance in that account because I don't want to be charged an extra fee. And there are reasons why people set up their business bank accounts with different banking institutions, but there are a whole bunch of online institutions that don't charge anything. So just be mindful to ask what those rates and those terms are. It's super important. You'll also get temporary checks for that account. They're called starter checks, right? Now, business bank account details. The bank will probably have a service they recommend for getting checks. Your first order might try to charge you $150 or more. Be careful. You don't need that many checks. On your first order, they'll normally give you like a starter kit. For me personally, there are a million places that you can buy checks online for way less than $150. Costco being one of them, Sam's Club. You definitely don't have to pay $150. Some people choose to get, like I know in my office, we print out checks because oftentimes, especially on the contractor side for our development business, we have like people that we subcontract work to, sometimes their hours change. Sometimes they're paid per job. So when we run payroll on Wednesday evening, Thursday morning, sometimes for some people, if they don't work with us regularly, we have to cut physical checks. So for me, I order them online and I print them here in my office. I always have them disposable, but I do have a book of checks. All right. So keep in mind that you definitely don't have to order from them to get bank checks. A starter kit will usually include a binder, a deposit bag, a company seal for endorsement, and other perks. You do not need all of this. You are just starting, right? Now, you may need these things. So keep in mind to order what you need because you don't want to spend your money. I am not a big fan of spending overhead. Less is more. And literally, I don't want you to have that overhead because you're just starting out. Again, like I mentioned before, you can order most of these starter kits online because it's cheaper anyways. You do not need 250 or more checks to start. This is very, very true because, in this day and time, most of us pay things online anyway. So it's not like we're physically writing checks to go pay the bill collector. That's not what we do. All right, let's get into business credit scores. So many people don't know about these at all, yet they are how banks determine who to loan to and who to turn down. So if you want a loan, please, 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 please document what I'm about to tell you. These notes are super important. So your business credit scores. Business credit or your business bank rating is the total amount of borrowing capacity that a business can get from a banking system. Let me read that again, right? Your business credit or your business bank rating is what drives the total amount of borrowing capacity that a business can get from a banking system. Now, business credit is much broader category of lenders such as suppliers, credit card issuers, or leasing companies. But a business can get more business credit quickly if it has a minimum of one bank reference and an average daily account balance of at least $10,000. And most lenders are going to ask for the past 3 to 6 months of business bank statements. Why is it that they ask for business bank statements? Because if you are going to get an actual loan, right, they want to ensure that you are able to pay on that loan. So they're going to be looking at your deposit history. They're going to be looking at how much you deposit monthly versus how much you keep just sitting in your account. So I mentioned an average daily account balance of $10,000, right? Most people, when you're starting off, they do not have that. And that's okay. It's literally super important that you are paying attention and trying to save because they see when you're making money, right? So your bank rating yields a certain score depending on what that adjusted debt balance is, right? So if you have a daily account balance of $10,000 for the past 3 months, it yields a bank rating of a low 5, right? This means that an adjusted debt balance of $5,000 to $30,000, right? And a lower yields a lower rating. A high 4 is a balance of $7,000 to $9,999. Now, this won't stop your business application, but it slows your approval process down. So what that essentially means is that if I keep a balance of $1,000 to $3,999 in there, they're not going to approve me for a $100,000 loan. but they may give me a loan of $3,000, right? Because my balance on a monthly basis, or my average monthly balance on a monthly basis, is what drives that score. And they know that you could cover that. They're not going to give you a $70,000 to $150,000 loan if you have a low 4, because that's not your, it's based on what you yield on your, literally your average daily account balance. So keep that in mind. So I always tell people, she's like, I have people who like, well, they paid me, but I had to pay my workers right away. Nothing comes out my account unless I deposit it first, period. I deposit everything. I don't care. It has to go into my account first. I'll pay you tomorrow. You're going to have to wait a day. And as long as you deposit it, it's counted towards that average daily balance. So keep that in mind. Now, if you hold a high 5, which is an account balance of $70,000 to $100,000, then guess what? They're approving you from anywhere to $70,000 to $200,000 or $300,000, because that's your average account balance. So just keep that in mind. Now, keep ways to keep your bank ratings up, right? Literally do whatever it takes to keep at least 10,000 through your accounts over a 90-day period. So whether banking institutions tell you or not, they are literally looking at that 90-day overall balance. They have a certain formula and algorithms that essentially drive that business banking score. Your money should be kept there, obviously, but it's essential to keep your money there to ensure that a bank rating is high enough to increase future financing approvals. So when I'm taking somebody through lending and they come to me and they say, Miss Sarah, I need a loan. There are 3 C's to credit: cash flow, collateral, and credibility. So it's essential that they see that cash flow coming through your accounts. And if you're not running anything through your accounts, I'm like, you're not going to qualify. Let me see those business bank statements. By that business bank statements, I can tell immediately how they run their business, if they're very credible, and if they indeed are operating like a true business. If I see red flags, I'm not sending you over there, because they're not going to approve you, right? So bank ratings are calculated in cycles. So each cycle is based on the balance rating in the previous 3-month period. That's why I said that 90-day period, you should be, listen, I don't care if you're taking it out, right back out the next day. It needs to be deposited. Check, cash, merchant payments. I hate when people do Cash App, but if you're going to do Cash App, put it into your account. Because Cash Apps are tied to your personal, even if you put them in your business name. So keep that in mind. Before a business decides to apply for credit, it should keep a balance rating of a low 5 for the past 3 months. So you have to at least run at least 10K through your account. If not, it's going to be difficult for me to prove to them that you can pay literally on a loan of any type. All right. With at least a low 5 rating, most banks will assume that a business has little liability to repay a loan or a line of credit. Bank ratings are a measurement of how responsible an account owner is with their funds. So a bank, they see you as irresponsible if you do the following: if you have insufficient funds, if you have negative cash flow, and if you have low balances. So just the tips and tricks that I do or I recommend for my people who are just starting off, right? And this is not in my presentation, so make sure that you write this down. So I always recommend, especially entrepreneurs that are just starting out and they still have a regular job, when you get your paycheck, cash that paycheck and deposit it as cash into your business bank account. You get paid Thursday, go to the bank, physically cash it, and take that cash and put it into that business bank account. And now instead of getting paid Thursday, you're getting paid Friday. Because once you deposit it on Thursday into that business bank account, on Friday, you could go in and take whatever you need. You could take it right back out. Now, guess what? That's a deposit. That's counted in that 30-day period, that 30 to 90-day period. That cycle of 90 days, it's counted. Guess what happens when you do that? Even if you take it right back out, your business bank rating goes up. So you discipline yourself. Most people spend their money before they even get it. So when you're working a regular job, oh, on Friday, I have to pay this, and this. Before you even got your check, you spent it. So how would your business benefit from it? So if you discipline yourself to be like, look, I get paid Thursdays, but nothing is going to be paid into after Friday because I got to deposit, cash this, and then deposit it first into my business bank account because you need to build up, again, that bank rating. Even if I go to the bank and be like, listen, I'll take it right back out. Now it was deposited and it shows in that business cycle, that 90-day business cycle, and your bank rating goes up. Businesses need to allow at least a low 5 rating. Most banks will assume that the business has, again, little or no liability. And again, it shows that it's a sign of being irresponsible. Keep in mind that when I'm taking you for a loan, or if I'm taking you for to get a line of credit, if you have insufficient funds at any time within that 90-day cycle, I'm going to be like, we need to wait 90 days. If you have negative cash flow, if your account was negative at any time, I'm going to be like, we're going to need to wait 90 days. If you have a low balance and no money in there, I am not going to put you in a situation where you are not able to pay that loan payment. So guess what? I'm ethically going to be like, hey, this can't happen. So more bank rating factors: the number of insufficient funds, the positive cash flow, so that the deposits that go in, the consistency of deposits. So when they see like, listen, every Friday Sarah makes a deposit, or every Thursday Sarah makes a deposit, we can expect that every month. There are algorithms that basically rate you as not being a risk because you consistently put money in. That money could be different. It don't have to be the same amount, but they know that once a week I make a deposit at the minimum. The age of the account, the bank products the business uses, they literally look at your transactions. If you're paying for a monthly service, they can see all of that. Any savings account or investments that a business has. Remember, just things to keep your bank rating up. Keep money in your bank account over a 90-day period. They are counting that in that cycle. Try to retain a balance of 10,000 or better. If you don't, like, it's baby steps. I remember my first year opening, my first 4 or 5 months. Oh my God, it was hard to keep anything in there. And I was using my personal funds to fund it. So that's understandable, but set baby steps. So we might not retain a balance of over 1,000, but let's try to get to 1,000. When we get to 1,000, let's try to get to 3,000. Baby steps. This is literally, I'm showing you what they're looking at, but we need to set baby steps so that we don't overwhelm ourselves or just go into there and be like, they denied me. I want you to understand why they denied you. This is what they look at. These are the requirements. Keeping a positive cash flow and keeping account balances to avoid non-sufficient fees. You know what's coming out of there. So please, 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 please do not bounce a check. It looks terrible. Recap for your business score. Literally, a business account is vital for success. Keep in mind that a lender looks at your business start date as literally the day that you open up that business bank account. And it helps business owners get loans and credit. It essentially is one of the tools that you can utilize to help build your business credit. If it's set up correctly from the start, auto approvals. And then keep in mind that your bank scores, your bank credit scores, they measure the account holder responsibility. So they see you credible essentially by pulling that score. So you have your credit score, your personal credit score, you have your business credit scores, Equifax, TransUnion, Equifax has a risk score, literally Experian Business has another score, and then you have your Paydex score that comes from Dun & Bradstreet, and then you have your business bank score. Like all of those things are looked at when you're getting a large loan. So keep that in mind. And then the responsible financial stewardship, holding yourself accountable will pay off every time. So just keep those things in mind. I know I went over a whole lot today, but I wanted to essentially jump into the best business banking institutions for a small business. And these the things that I'm giving you are essentially recommendations that I have used personally. And I have 3 business bank accounts. I use one for my tax savings account. So any transaction that I make, I essentially every 3 to 5% of that transaction, I automatically, before I even look at it or touch it, I put into that tax savings account because we pay taxes on everything. And I put it in an account where I don't even have online banking set up. So I can't physically, I can do a transfer to that account, but I don't physically go in to look at that account. Because when it's time to pay the IRS at the end of every quarter, I need to have money there. I also keep 2 banking institutions because I keep an online one that essentially does free wires because I send a lot of money and they normally charge me per transaction. And then I have one that I have a personal relationship with that I could go into the bank and they know me personally, which is Navy Federal. But again, I would definitely have more than one account. Allocating spending account. I have an account that my payroll comes out of. And then I have literally an operations account. And they may seem like a whole lot. And I have a money market savings because I yield more interest on my savings being in there versus a regular savings account. So, I mean, over time, and those are things that I learned from coming in to talk to my business banker. They are there to essentially help you take advantage of what they offer. And to me, it's super important that we are taking advantage of that because a lot of people don't. And again, it's different from everybody. But for me, it's better to know the requirements ahead of time so that you know what you're working towards and what banking institutions are looking at and what drives their score. So the first one that I'm going to recommend is Chase. Chase right now are giving new customers $300 to get a complete checking. And then, of course, you have to have a minimum balance over $2,000 each month. Super easy if you already are doing that. Another one that I like is credit unions. So everyone have credit unions. The one that I use in particularly, yes. So literally, you can go anywhere, but credit unions are they're great to bank with. I know every state has local ones. I bank with Navy Federal because I've done DOD contracts and I have a security clearance. So for me, I love my relationship with them and their rates are so low. So I do a lot of banking with them. So if you have a local credit union, Navy Federal, or you do, please, or a family who's in the service, take advantage of doing, literally being able to take advantage of joining them. And even on the personal side, like there are lots of benefits that you can utilize to having a small bank or a credit union. So the next one is that I'm gonna recommend is essentially Bank of America. When I say they have things that they have a different scoring system for banks, business bank accounts, and they lend to people who have relationships with them. So right now they are giving up to a $500 introductory bonus, 200 fee monthly transactions, and as long as you keep up to 7,500, you get free cash deposits per month, like ATM, all of those things. So up to, that means that as long as you have something in there, but definitely Bank of America. There is a 0 monthly fee. That's why I love them. And if you go to a third party ATM, they waive those fees. So I like that. It definitely works for small businesses. Capital One. Unlimited transactions, 0 to open up a business bank account. It's online. It literally comes with a business credit card. So they automatically, pre-approve you for a business credit card. So it's good for startup businesses. And then my next one is going to be AXOS. So they have $100 sign-on fee, and it's AXOS Bank. So right now they have a $100 welcome bonus for businesses that have registered after June the 1st. They have unlimited domestic ATMs. They have free unlimited, free transactions. They accept ACH. They do free bill pay. They have workspace banking, and they give you free QuickBooks, which I love. So those are my recommendations for business bank accounts. I know we went over a lot today. I want to thank you for tuning in. Again, if you haven't joined my Facebook group, please do so. It's Biz Credit Builds on Facebook with Ness. If you haven't joined the She Is Still Dope network, please do so. We have so many great things going on this summer. And literally, if you haven't joined me, I'm on every Friday, Eastern Standard Time at 10 a.m. Bank on Women with me, Sarah Sabastro. I appreciate you guys tuning in, and I'll see you next week. Bye, guys.